Have you ever thought about how so many people died? How about the horrors that people had to go through? Many people didn't even know if they were going to see their families again. Can you imagine that? Nazis controlled the Jewish population and tried to destroy their race. During World War II, Jews in concentration camps had to deal with the terrors of not knowing if they would survive through the week, the day, or the minute. Many Jews were put to the test by how long they could survive, but once the new advanced ideas came, no one survived. Some of the many ways that the Jews were killed were gas chambers, flamethrowers, and shootings. Many people were torn away from their families, but Nazis didn't care. There are many types of concentration camps. Millions of people were in prisons and abused in the various types of Nazi camps. Now, the behaviors are not okay. People still mourn over awful losses that will haunt us forever. The Nazis left long-lasting effects on the Jewish population, and it needs to never happen again. Hello, my name is Zelma Amsel, and I'm an old Nazi official. We would have to see all the bodies just laying there. You would hear the screams and the cries, and everybody would collapse after the smells. Working there was traumatizing. You would go to sleep every night with extreme guilt inside of me. I can't imagine what they had to go through. You got a whole new perspective when seeing the Jews give up hope and life. Seeing my life in the past, working for the Nazis was much different than I would have thought. The torture that everyone had to go through. I was only 20, and no one should have to go through that when they're that young. Gas chambers were one of the many ways of killing Jews. Many people died. People's lives ended suddenly, and their emotions crumbled. Artur Nebe was convinced that gassing could be used effectively against the Jews and other Nazi enemies. Gas would be cheaper than bullets. Even though children were in concentration camps, they didn't have it any easier. Children were killed in gas chambers as well. The original gas was carbon monoxide. Once exposed to properly heated air, the crystallized produced lethal gas. The Nazis thought that it was an easy way to kill many people. Many people thought that they were taking a shower, but they were really being gassed to death. One of the most famous cases in the gas chamber was Auschwitz. They first tried to kill people with car exhaust, but they found that carbon monoxide was an easier way. Later, they switched gases to Zyklon B, which was a stronger, more effective gas. They also created stationary gas chambers, which would kill 40 to 60 people at a time. Mobile gas chambers were cheaper, so they used them more often.
One of the worst ways to die in a concentration camp was being burnt in an oven. A total of 1,016 prisoners were burned in ovens at concentration camps that we know of. Germans put Jews in a barn and lit it on fire. The Jews that escaped the fire were shot by Germans guarding the barn. Only 100 people were known to survive the fires. The Germans tried to cover up the evidence by burying the bodies underground. 700 bodies were uncovered by the U.S. when the Germans told the truth. To make these ovens, they had to use brewing equipment and chimneys. The company that made these ovens and gas chambers was called Topf and Schony. The Nazis' ovens were very prodigious and capable of burning 8,000 bodies a day. Hi, my name is Bob Oath, and I have studied concentration camps for years, and the thought of it still haunts me. I say this because it was a slow and painful death. Germans were ruthless killers and stopped at nothing to complete their task. One of the ways I personally hated the most was burning Jews in ovens. The Germans would stuff the Jews' bodies in the ovens and burn them. They would even burn babies. The only way to survive the ovens was to stay healthy and fit, which was hard to do in these conditions. The others were not so lucky because they could not work, so they were executed. The ovens were one of the worst ways to die in World War II.
World War II was devastating. Many people died from different causes, but mostly by Nazis shooting them. First, Catholic churches were burned and priests were arrested. If they did not work, they were shot right on the spot. Babies were shot because they were of no use, and if old people didn't work, they were shot too. The Nazis usually lined them against the wall and shot them. Their bodies were left there to rot. Bullets were really expensive back then, so they had to come up with other ways to kill Jews too. When America came, the Germans were prepared. They used machine guns built in the ground. The Nazis used a total of 13 different kinds of weapons and more than 100 different guns. The Nazis used pistols, rifles, submachine guns, machine guns, assault rifles, sniper rifles, shotguns, anti-tank weapons, flamethrowers, grenades, grenade launchers, close-quarter weapons, and finally mortars. Even though the Nazis had ample war technology, they still wound up losing to the American military.
I miss him very much. I love and miss you, Grandpa. It's hard to talk about, but we know you're in a better place now. I speak for all the people who have died in the Holocaust. We love and miss you.
The war was a horrific time that millions of people lost their lives, all because people did not agree with the way others were living their life. People were sent to concentration camps where they would have to work endless hours, and then they had to suffer through the cold and starvation. 11 million people were killed during the Holocaust. After the Holocaust, the Americans won the war, and the League of Nations was created to talk about problems and try to resolve them before going to war. The League of Nations was an international organization headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland, created after the First World War to provide a forum for resolving internal disputes.
Be looking up the whole time.
Oh my God, I know. You can't.
Oh, should we start?
Yes, go.
Just give me it. Okay.
Hello,
Oh
my
God.
name is War II killed millions of people.
Wait, did you start yet?
War II killed 2 million. Dang it! Millions of those people were killed through concentration camps.
So being burnt in the oven. What the heck was that?